Hello everyone, it's Marla. Welcome back to Twinstrology. Hope that you're all doing well. Hope that you have enjoyed your holidays. Today is New Year's Eve that I'm filming this. So Happy New Year. Welcome 2025 and good riddance 2024. It's probably how a lot of you feel, myself included, especially like the first half of the year was fine. The second half of the year has been very challenging. So we're going to take a deep dive into what is happening with twin flames today. I haven't done a monthly reading in quite a while. I haven't done a reading in this format for a while, so I might be a little out of practice. And yes, I am clearing the energy right now to prepare us for this reading. But like I said, yeah, we're going to take a deep dive today. We're going to look at twin flame energy from a very multidimensional perspective. The more multidimensional we become, the more we can see all these different aspects and how they're playing in. That's all part of losing separation consciousness. At the same time, it takes a little bit longer to talk about things from that more multidimensional perspective. So get comfy, get yourself a drink. I've got my cup of tea here, and let's get into this reading. Okay, the overall energy of twin flame unions. Our destiny is calling. Preparations are underway to take the next step. This has actually come up a few times, I believe, in twin flame readings in the last 6 months. And a lot of this card is representing the timeline shift that we're in. It's a big one, and what we have been waiting for quite a while as far as manifesting some of our goals and our desires is really wanting to come through for us right now. And we are in the preparation phase of having those things manifest. But there are some challenges to it, as this card shows us as a clarifier, which is trapped in fear. This is an 8 card, and 2024 was an 8 year. 8 represents karma. It's like, it's the infinity, and human beings have been stuck in this infinite karmic loop. But since 2022, that karmic loop has been breaking down, and more people are stepping out of their karmic timelines because they've cleared enough energy in order to do that, and they've been becoming free will manifestors instead. And so this shift that we're in is very much about that energy of manifesting, but manifesting, I say free will, but truly when we're at this stage of the ascension process, we have to be aligned with God. And so, that saying, what you want wants you, or what you're calling is calling you. For me, what that really means is what is in your heart that you want to manifest is also what God wants for you. And when you get to a certain level of consciousness, you understand that it's one and the same. So although, yes, we're manifesting from our free will, at the same time, we are so aligned and so in tune with our higher self, with our I am presence and the God self within, that our free will is God's will. And yet, we do still have these issues. We are not totally out of the clear yet, because we're still trapped in some kind of fear. So the preparations that are underway are about releasing this fear. Let's take a look at the positive and the challenge. So the positive is don't listen to other people. Trust yourself to know the truth. So this is what is changing right now that is helping us. And so a lot of the energy is about trusting yourself. But also, we have this lighthouse here. And for me, the lighthouse often represents spiritual energy, our spirit guides, or the energy of God. Because that spirit is our lighthouse. It's strong and it's high and it beams out this light that supports us and guides us safely through the challenges in life that we face. So again, trusting ourselves comes with trusting spirit, trusting God. What challenges us at this time is our inner child needs to come first. This, for me, this card, this is my deck, by the way, the Intuit Twin Flame Oracle. This is a deck that I always use for my readings, and if you're interested in learning more about this deck, I'll put the link to it below. But there's two meanings on this card. And so the what I'm getting from Spirit is that the alternate meaning is really what we need to focus on. And it's the inner child wound that is keeping us trapped in the fear. So we're trying to manifest our destiny, and we need to overcome this so that we can get to this. So the core wound that Twin Flames have been working on, as far as the trapped in fear card, is the abandonment wound. And I'm getting that the abandonment wound is about 75% cleared for the collective. The abandonment wound is what has kept us in separation consciousness. And, for the most part, when it comes to twins, separation is often talked about in terms of separation from the twin. But really, the separation is a separation from God first and foremost. And that is really what we've been trying to break through for trying to think how long, probably 2 years, probably since 2022, I think. When really in 2022 was when this free will energy really started to ground on the planet. And then in order to become that manifester, like I said, we have to let go of our ideas of separation from God and really from everything. So there's been a lot of clearing around that, and Twin Flames have been on the forefront of that clearing. In December, what I picked up on mostly was that the Divine Feminine was clearing some karmic wounds, and the Divine Feminine was releasing some blocks and resistance to reunion. What I'm picking up now for January is that the Divine Masculine is going to be working on blocks to reunion. And there's a cycle ending for the Divine Masculine. And what that cycle is really amounts to the energy of, but do you really love me? So there's a lot of doubt about whether you are really loved or not. Now, when I do these readings, I often remind you that you have to look at this reading as you are the masculine and feminine, as well as thinking about like, oh, I'm the feminine twin, my person is the masculine twin. That is none more true than in this reading today. You really need to see it from the perspective of all of this is going on inside of me. because really there is no separation any longer. The divine masculine, divine feminine, yes, there's subtle differences, but there's enough inner balance of the masculine and feminine that everything really just pertains to everybody. So while, yes, go ahead, and on some levels, right, we're looking at different multidimensional aspects of this energy. On some levels, this is going to be, this is you, this is them. But in order to really understand how this is affecting you personally, look at it as this is all me as well, and this is all them. With the abandonment wound, then, the question is, well, you say you love me, but do you really love me? And again, that's on the level of your twin flame. It's on the level of God. Does God really love me? When it comes to that, does God really love me question, there's different things going on with people. I'm going to read some things, and you look at these and think, okay, now where is this showing up for me? God, if you really love me, then where is my reward? If you really love me, then where is my success? If you really loved me, then where is my recognition? If God really loved me, why isn't he bringing my true love? If God really loved me, why am I not healed? Why am I still suffering from illness? Where is my financial reward? My lucky break? My support? Where is my happy ending? So we all have some kind of fear that what we want is not going to show up for us because God doesn't love us. God is rejecting us. Then, yeah, like I said, it's also, well, does my twin really love me? They say they love me, but they're not acting like they love me. Or maybe my twin forgot about me. Maybe my twin has moved on. Maybe my twin will never forgive me. And then there's all these other relationships that impact us that make us think, well, do they really love me? As we've been clearing this abandonment wound, 2024 has been a year where the feelings of abandonment have been intense, and there's been relationship issues for the whole year. And you might be asking yourself about other people in your life. Do they really love me? And if they really love me, are they showing up for me? This has also been part of clearing that narcissist wound, where we're also like getting rid of people that maybe really don't love us. And we've discovered through our own changes and shifts that those people don't really love us, and therefore there's no point having them in our life, at least at this point in time. People can change, things change, and maybe at some point those relationships will come back again. But when we're looking at that, our destiny is calling us. We can't receive our destiny until we spiritually transform. Whatever you're trying to manifest, God really wants you to have that. But the only way for God to get that to you is through you releasing your fear that God's going to let you down, or that God's going to betray you, or other people are going to betray you. This fear of betrayal is a theme for our masculine energy right now. And remember, Mars is retrograde and has been retrograde since December 6th. And if you haven't watched my Mars in retrograde video, I invite you to, because I talked a lot about how Mars is going retrograde in Cancer. And so there is a lot of inner child healing and making corrections to our foundation, our foundational self, because Cancer represents the patterns that we develop when our emotions are hurt or we're emotionally triggered, and we develop patterns to protect ourselves. And then those patterns become a liability. and they just become walls that keep us separated from the people and the things that we really want. So how do we let go of those walls? That's the big question. So yeah, taking that abandonment wound to another deeper level, especially for our masculine, is the fear of betrayal. How many of you can resonate with these kinds of thoughts that we internalize? Oh, that's just too good to be true. Don't believe in that too strongly because you're going to get let down. Push that thing away because that person will just betray you. That person isn't being honest with you. Or push it away because all previous relationships has failed. So why wouldn't this one fail? Oh, nothing good ever happens to me. Love never works out for me. God never comes through for me. These are the programs that we need to clear at this time. One of the things I'm getting about the inner child and the clearing that needs to be done with our inner child is the program of victimhood. We need to change that because going back to everything's connected, our emotional body, mental body, physical body, astral body, etheric body, all these bodies are connected. And when we have damage in one, such as a program that's damaging, it can damage other parts of our body. And this victimhood energy has been damaging our auric field. And I think part of what's shifting with that victimhood is 2025 will be the year where there's more things brought to light, more disclosure. And the truth is, humanity wasn't ready to hear this disclosure because they wanted to stay in victimhood. And you can see it now, even today, when things about, let's say, big pharma coming out, truths about that, there's still a lot of people resistant to that. It's like they're not ready to hear the truth. Because when you hear the disclosures, then you can no longer be victim to it. If things are hidden from you, then yeah, you can play the victim because, you don't really know what's going on and you're just following along. So that's why these things have been secret, is because humanity, the collective energy, hasn't been ready. So we're clearing victimhood, and we have to clear victimhood because we have to trust ourselves. And part of healing that victimhood or that abandonment wound is always knowing that you're there for yourself and spirit is there for you. And when you really understand that, then whatever happens in the relationships around you really doesn't matter because you got you and you got God. But yeah, moving into the beginning of the year, we can't accept God's grace to gain our goals if we are victims of everything outside of ourselves. And one of those things is the karmic relationships that are still clearing. So I did pull some song messages today. I haven't done that for a few months. So the overall song message for Twin Flame Unions is Boys Don't Cry by The Cure. I would say I'm sorry if I thought that it would change your mind, but I know that this time I've said too much, been too unkind. I try to laugh about it, cover it all up with lies. I try to laugh about it, hiding the tears in my eyes, 'cause boys don't cry. So remember what I said earlier about view all the messages here on two levels, one for you and them, but also one for everything about you. So on one hand, we have the masculine, boys don't cry, and the masculine tends to be repressed in their feelings, repress their emotions. They for the most part, have been very blocked in their speech and their communication because of their repressed emotions. And they tend to cover things up. But on that broader level, this is something we all do. Because this Mars retrograde is about letting down the walls and barriers that we build around ourselves. One of the things that we do is we pretend like things don't bother us. We laugh it off. We pretend like we don't care. We repress the emotions. We don't speak our truth. We don't tell people how we really feel. Because to tell people how we really feel might expose our emotions and our truth. So this song is about how we hide ourselves. We hide the tears in our eyes. And we've all been taught on some level that emotions are bad, and especially crying. Obviously, for those in a male body, being told not to cry is a big thing, but I think a lot of those in a female body have also internalized that. I mean, I work with women all the time that have internalized crying is weakness. So it's not a gender-based energy, even though the song mentions it. Okay, let's talk about what is going on for our feminine energy. So the main focus for the divine feminine at this time is I feel abandoned. I often feel like others let me down. So yeah, I think we've talked about that pretty clearly so far. So for the divine feminine, they have been really experiencing the abandonment. Part of clearing something is going through the process of experience. So part of being abandoned by your twin, which is what most of you have experienced in your twin flame dynamic, has been to unbury all those repressed emotions of all the situations across multidimensional time where you have been abandoned or let down. So there's those times of separation from your twin. But then on this broader level, society level, the divine feminine has also been abandoned. The gifts of the divine feminine have been abandoned, such as creativity, deep spirituality, energy healing, psychic abilities. The divine feminine has been abandoned for those gifts. The divine feminine has been abandoned for being too emotional, to the point where people, I won't say people, where women were institutionalized for being too emotional. And then there's those feelings of being abandoned by God. And when you experience the abandonment of your twin, of other soulmates, of the collective energy, and some of that collective energy abandonment has been through persecution and execution and excommunication. That leads to the feeling of, now God has let me down. And some of those times, for example, the witch trials, because we had that deep connection to spirituality in the form of psychic abilities, prophecy, channeling, healing, and we were persecuted for those gifts, then that really internalized the fear because in those lives, we thought we were doing the right thing. We were doing God's work. We knew we were doing God's work, and we still suffered for it and internalized that as blaming God. And that's something that we have to clear. So lots of different layers there. Again, we're all experiencing that, whether you're this twin or that twin, twin 1 or twin 2. Both twins are experiencing levels of abandonment. And when we have that question, but do you really love me? That's abandonment. Some of that question, do you really love me, is going to come from other lifetimes where maybe you did something that hurt your twin. You may not remember it, but subconsciously you remember it and they remember it. And that affects the dynamic between you. And that keeps that person afraid to fully connect with you. There's often this masculine element in us that wants the love to be proven. Actually, I don't know if that's masculine or feminine. Maybe both sides. After everything that we've suffered on the earth plane needs that proof of love. I can't validate our love in 3D until I understand our spiritual love in 5D. Give me time to explore this aspect so I can be a strong spiritual partner for you. So that love, that perfect divine love, is not going to manifest in the 3D until it's accepted in the 5D. So until the clearing is done and we make that reconnection with God, I haven't really gone into this yet, but why we need that reconnection with God is because that is the next step that we need for our spiritual purpose. In fact, let me talk about that now. So one of the big things that I'm getting for the Divine Feminine is in January, the feminine is working on a blocked root chakra, and it's blocked due to worthlessness. It's really like this abandonment wound, made us feel worthless, also made us feel the separation, the betrayal, and the lack of safety. When you experience something very traumatic, what often happens? You become ungrounded. You don't want to stay in your body because in your body you feel the trauma. So the Divine Feminine has moved away from being fully grounded and has been living in the higher spiritual realms. This started in 2019. I did a video last year talking about clearing separation that happened in 2019, at the end of 2019, where there was like a dark energy attack that created a lot of separation, obviously in the collective, but it created a lot of separation for twin flames. And I heard from many, many, many people how they went into separation at the end of 2019. Part of that shift I'm getting now has been that there had to be a shift in the dynamic of the masculine and feminine. So the feminine energy was connecting into the higher realms, not grounded, not in the body. And the masculine was the energy of grounding. And they were more in the 3D energy. and they were holding the material plane energy for twins. But after that 2019 shift, what happened was the feminine needed to become more grounded so that the masculine could start to explore the fifth dimensional realm. And so we're coming to the time where we've cleared a lot and we're now ready to anchor that. So the feminine needs to focus on clearing the root chakra so that the root chakra can ground more into the earth star chakra. And that is how things are going to manifest. The masculine is now clearing the crown chakra so that they can connect more to their higher self, their I am presence, to God, spirit, all of those levels. So all this time over these years, we've been going through these changes. And I believe that this correlates with the polar shift of the earth. I've been seeing a lot of videos coming up about how that's happening now. There's a magnetic pole shift. So at this period of time, it's very important for the feminine to stay grounded. When you're not grounded, again, you're open to interference energy. And part of what I believe is going to be disclosed is how we have been implanted with all types of parasites, interdimensional parasites, also physical types of parasites such as funguses, bacteria, viruses, that attempt to block our ability to ground. All of those things, like when we look at blocks in our physical body, a lot of the blocks have to do with our digestive system, which again is that region where we have the lower chakras. So all of this plays into how much we're able to ground. So I recently did a video of a twin flame activation, bridge between heaven and earth. If you haven't watched that video, I invite you to. If you have watched it, I invite you to watch it regularly because that activation is meant to assist us with this shift of becoming more grounded so that we can reach higher dimensional realms and manifest what is coming through those multidimensional realms. Now, I've been talking about it in terms of the two, but now think of it in terms of inside of you, right? If you want to reach the higher dimensions, you're going to do that through grounding. Remember, we're grounding the higher dimensional energies here. We're not taking our physical body up. We're bringing the higher energy down. And we do that through grounding it into the energetic grid. So your destiny, whatever that is going to manifest through you being grounded. And so this card, I can't validate our love in 3D until I understand our spiritual love in 5D is about this connection. And it's basically like you both needed time to explore both of those planes of existence. How to transform this energy is you show up in my dreams. It helps me process buried memories. So this is those buried emotions that I talked about that we're clearing out. A lot of those buried emotions are connected to past life memories. And it's a lot of grief with this abandonment. And that's why the second half of this year was so hard, was because this abandonment wound got so activated and triggered for everybody in order to clear it. And also why karmic relationships have been such a strong focus because those karmic relationships are activating the abandonment wound. Either that person was there with you in those other lifetimes and maybe they played an antagonistic role, or there was something that you're projecting onto them that made you feel abandoned by them. So before I go on to talking about what is happening with the masculine, I do want to give a shout out to Otter Spirit, who I have partnered with, and they are creators of these awesome crystal bracelets. One of the things I love about Otter Spirit and led me to partner with them was that their bracelets come in 3 different sizes. You can go to crystal shops and you see crystal bracelets like this, but if you have small wrists like me, or if your wrists are big, then likely those bracelets aren't going to fit you very well. With Otter Spirit, they have 3 different sizes, so I decided that I would try them out. This is actually their size medium. They do have a size smaller than this, but you can see that they fit so much better than the standard size bracelets. They also make custom sizes, so if you have a wrist that's hard to fit, you can have them make one specific to your personal measurements. They also come in 2 different sizes as far as the beads. This is the small version, and they also come in a large version. And they come beautifully packaged in these magnetic gift boxes. Each one contains a little card that talks about the crystal. This is the one for my hematite, which is this bracelet right here. It says, I remain unshaken during challenging times. You can see why I wanted the hematite. Actually, hematite is one of my favorite crystals because it's great for clearing and for grounding. This one is black tourmaline, which is also great for grounding. It also tells you the intention of the crystal, what zodiac signs, and what chakra. You can see that hematite affects the root chakra, which is what we were just speaking about. And then each bracelet, besides coming in this beautiful box, comes in this really nice pouch. Especially if you're traveling and you want to keep your bracelets safe, you can put them in this pouch and stick them in your luggage. So I invite you to check them out. They have also given me a code, which is MARLA20, in which you can get 20% off your order. And if you use my link to place your order, I do get a small commission on that. So it would be a great way if you're interested in supporting my channel. So I do invite you to check them out. Actually, before I go on to the masculine, let me read the song message from the feminine to the masculine. It is The Scientist by Coldplay. Come up to meet you, tell you I'm sorry, you don't know how lovely you are. I had to find you, tell you I need you, tell you I set you apart. Tell me your secrets and ask me your questions. Oh, let's go back to the start. Running in circles, coming up tails, heads on a science apart. Nobody said it was easy. It's such a shame for us to part. Nobody said it was easy. No one ever said it would be this hard. Oh, take me back to the start. So I feel like a lot of the message of this song is about going back in time, having a fresh start. Also this refrain, of course, nobody said it was easy. Nobody ever said it would be this hard. It's probably something that every single one of you can resonate with or have thought or said about this journey. And yes, while there are times where it's very hard, we have to remember the rewards that we receive when we work through that energy and things do become easier. I feel there's an element here of the divine feminine saying, I forgive you with that song. All right, now on to the masculine energy. The focus of the masculine at this time is I need to release attachments with karmic people I'm creating a plan to leave him, her. This is not the first time this card has come out in this position. So if you're in a situation where you're still with a karmic partner, then there's likely to be some kind of turbulent energy with that person. The relationship is probably not going through an easy phase at the moment. It's probably going through a challenging phase. I feel like we have to look at this card in the broader perspective, though, because we're clearing karmic relationships of all types. And we're not just clearing them to get rid of them. Okay, there are some people, especially those narcissistic type people, or people that are energetic vampires, people that are abusive, angry. Those people do need to leave your life. But then there's also like this abandonment wound, which sometimes makes us respond in strange ways to those karmic relationships. Both people in the relationship, both the twins, but also in karmic relationship, both people have this abandonment wound. And so there's this internal struggle with abandonment in each of our relationships. We can feel sad, upset, angry when we feel like another person is not appreciating us, when they're letting us down, when they haven't met our expectations. And then we can also feel guilty when we need to cut people off, or when people keep making promises to us but they don't change. We can still feel guilty about abandoning them. Now, where the feminine energy is carrying more of the energy of I've been abandoned, the masculine carries the energy of I've abandoned. One of the messages that's coming through for the masculine today about what they're working on is misogyny. I really hate that word and I hate to use it, but that is the word that my spirit guides gave me. I don't like the word because there's so much connected to it. It's a loaded word. And just hearing the word can be triggering and cause anger to well up, when we have to understand that it's just a symptom of our culture. It's a symptom of being in this third dimensional realm. But we can heal it. But both masculine and feminine energies have to go through the process of the healing of it. So that's why I'm saying for the masculine, it's more about I've abandoned you. So I don't want to give the impression that I'm saying that about, for instance, all men, or I'm saying that about all twins. Because, as I said, they've also been abandoned in different times. But how they've internalized the abandonment of the feminine, especially their feminine twin, is that now they have this very strong kind of code of I can't abandon people. And that has kept them stuck in bad relationships with karmic people. Many of them are in relationships where that person is abandoning the masculine again and again and again and again. And the masculine has not fully broken free of the attachments of those. So when Spirit is saying, I know I need to release attachments, it's not always about specific people either, but it's about what are our behaviors from our abandonment that lead us to do the things that we do in relationships that make us feel like we're unworthy. I mean, why does the masculine energy want to stay in these negative karmic relationships? Because they don't feel worthy, because they have abandoned. Going back to what the masculine is focused on, which is, but do you really love me? It's been easier for the masculine to stay in a karmic relationship that reflects back to them the fact that that person really doesn't love them, than to actually move towards their twin that would reflect to them that, yes, I do truly love you. Remember what I was saying about the disclosure, and that the collective energy hasn't been ready for disclosure because they haven't been ready to hear the truth. They haven't been ready to let go of their victimhood. Well, it's the same here. That masculine in all of us hasn't been ready to get rid of the victimhood of feeling abandoned, feeling unworthy, feeling unloved, feeling heartbroken. So what our masculine is doing now during this retrograde is trying to go back and create a more balanced foundation for these relationships. And it comes from self-worth. And it comes from knowing that, yes, they really do love me. Yes, I really love myself. Yes, my twin flame really loves me. Yes, God really loves me. Yes, we're all one, and therefore we all love each other. How is this showing up for our masculine? You're projecting your own fears and limitations onto me. Go within to understand that you're seeing yourself, not me. So when it comes to the masculine, asking that question, but do you really love me? Let's say in the counterparts. The answer is, yes, your counterpart really does love you. And if you don't believe that they love you, it's because you're projecting your own fear onto them because you're not loving yourself, or you're not feeling worthy for some reason within yourself. So again, we can say, I think pretty safely, that all of us, to some level, still feel unworthy of this gift of divine love. I mean, it's one thing to talk about general karmic relationships, right? But when we talk about twin flame love, we're talking about divine love. When we're talking about our connection to God, we're talking about divine love. And so to really internalize the fact that, yes, I am worthy of this great love. I am worthy of this person loving me to the extent that they accept all of my faults and my flaws. And I am worthy of God loving me despite the times that I've failed, and despite the times where I have not done the right thing. Not just in this life, remember, but across time. And even though I've been abandoned, and I have abandoned, I am still worthy. And really, like, the conclusion that I've made through my foray into this deep abandonment wound over the last 6 months, my conclusion has been that the way to break free of that is to understand that, yes, people have abandoned you, but you've also abandoned others. Because we all have our patterns and our projections that lead us to do things that aren't always the right thing. So let's say Sometimes people say things and it hurts your feelings, and you could say something to that person right then and there and say, hey, that hurt my feelings. Let's talk about that. That might be the right way to handle it. But the wrong way to handle it, in the kind of root of abandonment and betrayal behavior, would be to maybe just give the silent treatment and just stop talking to that person. Those are the flaws in our foundation because of our inner child wound that we have to break down, because those types of behaviors are not going to serve us when we move into the new timeline. We're kind of in this place between timelines right now, and we can't take these patterns with us. And again, it's like the victimhood pattern. Let's take that situation again. Someone says something and hurts your feelings, and then you get to feel victimized about it, and you get to have a pity party for yourself and woe's me, or get angry about it or whatever, and relive all the times where someone has criticized you. Yeah, we're not taking that with us. We're not doing that anymore. In a lot of ways, all of our ills in society, if we could see that it was really just all of us, it's not identity politics, it's not us versus them. If we look at ourselves as a race, a multidimensional race, then we understand that it's always been all of us abandoning, and we've been playing both roles. Everybody has been the abandoned and the abandoner. So what is not to forgive? What is worth holding on to with that? How the masculine energy can transform this. I know in my heart we'll be together one day, and that helps me trust. Let's keep working on us. So one of the key things here is trust. Remember, don't listen to other people. Trust yourself to know the truth. One of the reasons why we need to really look at our karmic relationships is because people have had too much influence over us in some situations, and they have eroded our trust in ourselves. Those are especially the people that we want to really make sure that we want to have in our life. If people that criticize and judge and shame and say, oh, you're not going to do that, are you? Oh, that's never going to work. All the naysayers. We've got to believe in ourselves. And we have to believe in the twin flame journey. We're not going to manifest anything that we don't fully believe in. So the masculine here is saying, I know in my heart we're going to be together one day, is really about the masculine integrating the feminine energy and being able to trust. When I talk about the misogyny, what that's about is the masculine is sorry for the things that happened in the past. I'm talking on an existential level. And they're like, how can I make this up to you? And you have to understand, this is what has been keeping twin flames apart. This energy in its totality. And the masculine have subconsciously been affected, and they've been reacting to these subconscious fears. That's why it's important now. You show up in my dreams. It helps me process buried memories and releasing the repressed emotions. Do you see how that has to work? That feminine and masculine, it's all one energy working together to anchor this higher timeline. Another thing that's coming up around this card is that one of the ways that the masculine has abandoned the feminine is by choosing materialism over true love. And that might be easy to look at your twin and point the finger at them regarding that. But remember, we've all done that. We've all had lifetimes where we've chosen materialism over spirituality. We've not stood up for the truth as well. And that's something that's going to be opening up as we get into this disclosure. We need to be able and willing to stand up for the truth. But that's how one of the ways that the feminine has been abandoned, because the truth has often been abandoned. So as this collective timeline shift happens, as I said, in December, it was a lot about the feminine. Now in January, it's more about the masculine, and with Mars retrograde and then Venus retrograde, again, it's really the masculine and feminine working together. But part of the timeline shift is the masculine integrating more of their feminine energy, and this is causing a collective awakening. Because remember, the masculine energy is focused on opening the soul star chakra. And this is enabling the masculine to connect to higher spiritual awareness. And it's not that they haven't been able to, but the masculine part of us has been in denial of some of it, or has not been accepting it. There's something about, for each of you, how your destiny is calling you now requires you to step out of some kind of denial about your gifts or who you are or what you're here to do. And instead, trust in your intuition and move forward towards that. So yeah, this flip to the feminine grounding and the masculine being the more spiritual one is what has been clearing separation. The song that the masculine has for the feminine is More Than a Woman by the Bee Gees. Girl, I've known you very well. I've seen you growing every day. I've never really looked before, but now you take my breath away. Suddenly you're in my life, part of everything I do. You've got me working day and night, just trying to keep a hold on you. Here in my arms, I found my paradise, my only chance for happiness. And if I lose you now, I think I would die. Oh, say you'll always be my baby. We can make it shine. We can take forever, just a moment at a time. I've been feeling like the masculine energy has been going through an awakening process the last couple of months where they're seeing their divine feminine in a different way. Like something has shifted within their emotional self or within their heart-mind connection where they are beginning to open up more. It's like the love that they're having for their twin is not so easy for them to contain. They used to be able to compartmentalize it and put it away and deny it and pretend it wasn't there. And now, because they're integrating more of their feminine and this chakra energy is changing, they can't deny it anymore. And it's drawing them in. So on one level, on the twin level, there's that, what I just said. But again, on the broader level, it's the masculine awakening to his own feminine self. And how when we open that aspect of ourself, we connect more with our spiritual nature and our intuition, it changes our whole life. It makes life more fun. It brings passion to our life. Okay, let's read some messages. The messages from the feminine to the masculine are, I'm feeling controlled by people around me and I don't like it. It's pushing me to find my power again. I need to grow strong in who I am before I can merge my energy with yours in 3D. I'm afraid I could lose myself in this relationship. So that's why the feminine needs to be more grounded, because if you're not grounded and you try to come into union with your twin, you are going to lose yourself, because your twin is going to have too much influence on you. We have a past life connection. Memories are surfacing either consciously or subconsciously. So past life memories are playing into a lot of this energy. The masculine wants to say to the feminine energy, please don't give up on me. I'm trying, but it takes time. I wish I could say what I really feel. Someday I will, but right now I'm afraid to be myself. We are one. Don't let fear get into the way of this truth. And that's really what the overall energy is about, especially for the masculine, where they've been trapped in fear. They haven't wanted to acknowledge this spiritual connection. Now they're understanding that there is a oneness and there's an energy that cannot be separated ever. It doesn't matter what you do on the 3D plane, right? You can't just shut off your twin. You can't just forget that they exist. You can try, but it's not going to work, because it's a spiritual connection. So let's talk about what is going on in the future for twin flames. I'm tired of being away from you physically. I'm trying to process my fears so I can come back to you. Yeah, because destiny's calling. We don't know the full totality of this new timeline and what it has in store for us, but there could be reconnections happening. Both twins now are acknowledging the connection more and are ready to step out of the separation consciousness and maybe reconnect. I care about you even when I act like I don't. I'm hiding my true feelings because I feel vulnerable. This is what is healing with Mars retrograde, remember. The fear of being vulnerable, and so we keep walls around ourselves. We set boundaries that are sometimes too strong, like boundaries are appropriate in some cases, and in other cases, they create a limitation. So we have to understand how to create the balance energy and with who and why. All of this has to do with understanding our own personal motivations in relationships. But I think that one of the things that's keeping twins separate still is the fear of being vulnerable. And that's one of the fears that is needing to be processed to end the separation. I'm afraid you're going to meet someone else before I'm ready to be with you for good. So what I'm getting about this is a fear for twins about not trusting in the relationship, not trusting in your path with your twin flame dynamic. So there can be fears surfacing over the next couple of months, especially with these retrograde planets, where you're not trusting that that person is going to choose you. It's that abandonment wound trigger. And then because of the abandonment, remember the question that we're asking is, but do you really love me? And so part of that is the belief that that person, your twin or whoever, is just going to betray you like everybody else has betrayed you and let you down. So this is a fear that has to clear. I believe this is going to be a strong fear that comes up for the masculine when Mars moves back into Cancer and gets going more in the sign of Cancer. Because the masculine, one of the ways they're trapped in fear is they don't believe that the feminine truly loves them. And a lot of that is coming from the relationship that they've had in the past or the relationship that they're still in. For some of them, it's been like a very abusive relationship, and there's been a lot of betrayal in it, and that has eroded their trust in people in general. I also have these two cards that I pulled from the Psychic Tarot by John Holland. The first card that came up about the future for twins is throat chakra. Well, this has a lot to do with the destiny that's calling, because we're all expanding our throat chakra. Has these two chakras come into balance, the throat chakra is then better able to express the energy that's coming in from the higher dimensional realm. You know, why is it that there's trouble speaking our truth? It's all about this. If I speak my truth, people are going to abandon me, right? And that's why, as I said, we have not been expressing truth in our societies because everyone was afraid to voice the truth because you will get persecuted for it. And you can see how that energy really came to a head in the last few years with really people on social media just persecuting each other and canceling each other and blah, blah, blah. It's also part of this energy. Yeah, I care about you, but I'm not going to let you know I care about you because I'm going to feel vulnerable. And how we do that in relationships, remember the example I gave. I'm just going to give you the silent treatment, and I'm not going to tell you because I don't want you to see that you actually really hurt me when you did that. For our feminine side, the throat chakra has a lot to do with the speaking of truth and the speaking of prophecy and spirituality and that sort of thing. And for our masculine, the throat chakra is more about being vulnerable, letting our guard down, saying this is what I really feel about you in relationships, you know, maybe being able to say, you know, I really care about you and I really miss you. Or saying to someone, you know, I just don't think this relationship is any good for me. I feel like I'm not valued in this relationship, and so I'm going to have to say goodbye to you. We have to have a strong inner masculine to be able to do these things. Also, recognition and rewards. So remember about our destiny and at the beginning and what I said. Like what is it that triggers you to make you feel like God doesn't love you? Is it because you're not getting the recognition that you feel you deserve? And let's say like from spirit, you know, all of you have been working so hard and you might be wondering like, what am I getting for this? Now, of course, we're always getting things, and so I don't want to imply that that's something that I believe, because I can see when I look back all the things that I have received from Spirit for my hard work. At the same time, it's like you feel like something bigger is coming. You know something bigger is coming, and you know changes are happening. And it's been very frustrating because it has been in the process of manifesting for 2 years. And I know like I've talked about it myself, and I see other people talking about it. Like, oh, it's coming, your rewards are coming, this next step is coming. And it just takes a while for things to manifest, longer than our human self can be okay with. So you've got to trust and you've got to have faith that everything is in alignment and it is going to show up for you. Okay, the last song is about the future energies, and it is Simple Man by Leonard Skinner. Forget your lust for the rich man's gold. All that you need is in your soul. And you can do this, oh babe, if you try. All that I want for you, my son, is to be satisfied. And be a simple kind of man. Be something you love and understand. Baby, be a simple kind of man. Oh, won't you do this for me, son, if you can? Boy, don't you worry, you'll find yourself. Follow your heart and nothing else. And you can do this, oh baby, if you try. All that I want for you, my son, is to be satisfied. I don't think I'm even going to say anything else about that song. If you don't know that song, I hope that you will go and listen to it because it's such a beautiful song. Once again, the deck I'm using is my own, the Intuit Twin Flame Oracle. The link is below. This deck was the Psychic Tarot by John Holland. And don't forget to check out Otter Spirit. All right, Happy New Year, everyone. Sending you my love, and I'll speak to you soon.